From terrible life advice which could cause young men infertility, to lying to your audience for years about steroid use, the looksmaxing community has fallen hard over the last few months. And with the recent controversies of the influencer Clavicular, who injected his underage girlfriend's face with fat-dissolving peptides live on stream, the community now faces a massive backlash, which in my opinion should have come years ago. Let me explain. The term looksmaxing actually arose from incel communities and subreddits back in 2015, where people obsessed about their physical looks to the degree that people would sit online and rate each other's faces and bodies, which on its own sounds bad enough. But at the time, people were mostly talking about how they could naturally improve their looks through exercise, dieting, skincare, etc. But it quickly built to becoming about taking PEDs, peptides, doing facial injections and other invasive strategies in order to enhance what some people call their scale of attractiveness. People, though mostly young men and teens, would use certain filters on TikTok or scales to determine their own looks. They would give each other face scores, body scores, genetic scores, etc. And over the last 4 to 5 years, these trends have escalated big time. Now we have creators whose sole purpose is to enhance their self-perceived physical flaws through surgery, drugs, and other means, posting their journeys on social media. Like recently, there was this guy who was insecure about his height, being only 6 foot, which is the same height as me. He wanted to become taller and perform the very infamous limb lengthening surgery to get to 6'6", which is around 198 centimeters. But in the process, he lost his ability to run, jump, or even really train his legs properly as a byproduct. Also because they basically break your bones trying to lengthen them. So it's already looking bad enough for the looksmaxing community. But recently, there were 2 very famous people in the community who are borderline into fitness who came out doing some horrible stuff. First, there was Hamza Ahmed, who got exposed for lying to his audience for years about taking steroids to enhance his physique, which he at first denied, but when his former friend and co-worker came to expose him, he went back on his claims, saying that, oh, but it was just an experiment that he was planning to tell his audience about eventually, even though he was always preaching about methods to naturally enhance testosterone and how to build a physique like his, after spending years building a community revolving around self-improvement and selling online courses, which is like the new meta, I guess. And then there was this guy, Braden Peters, who often goes by the name Clavicular on social media, who recently went under a lot of heat for, get this, injecting his underage girlfriend's face with unapproved fat-melting peptides live on stream.
Chat, we're looksmaxing her. We're looksmaxing her. It's all good.
But he also started taking steroids at 14 years old, essentially becoming infertile, inventing his own face rating system where he rated guys like Michael B. Jordan a 3.5 out of 10.
What would you rate Michael B. Jordan? Because, you know, let me tell you something, a lot of girls I know, they really like Michael B. Jordan for whatever reason.
He's far below average. I would say that he's about 4 out of 10, maybe 3.5.
Wow.
Super facially challenged.
And the guy obviously has some level of body dysmorphia, which I would assume is the sole reason for even making videos like these in the first place.
So right now, I am infertile.
Now, I hadn't even heard of this guy until I saw a video by Mr. Turk himself, Greg Doucette, and I thought nothing of it. But when I went to write the script for this video, his name came up everywhere. And I recently learned that he got banned from YouTube as well, even though his TikTok and Instagram accounts are still up as of right now. And this guy, being just 20 years old, is the face of what's essentially wrong with the looksmaxing community. Now, he rates other people's attractiveness from his own perspective, but presents it like an objective fact. He basically creates a problem for people who might think they look alright, tells them they're ugly based on X, Y, and Z metrics, and then sells them coaching and courses to quote-unquote help people glow up, telling them they can basically bypass their genetics if they do what he says. Now, I'm a big fitness guy, of course. I took a master's in exercise physiology, I coach people, I compete in powerlifting. I love the idea of people getting fitter, healthier, stronger through whatever means they prefer, right? But this sort of stuff isn't like, hey, if you don't like the way you look, that's okay, but try exercise and a healthier diet. It's more like, if you don't like the way you look, good, because your looks determine your worth in society and you need surgery or drugs to fix it.
Or do you prioritize health?
I would say no.
Even the looksmaxing community itself has said that this guy is doing way too much and essentially making a fool out of himself, but a lot of his audience are people in the same situation. They're young, probably between 14 and 20 years old, and they're probably insecure about the way they look. Which, hey, it happens to most people during that age because you're seeing pimples, maybe you're not growing as tall as you would like to be, and that's not something many people accept fairly quickly, because they think that in order to be successful in life, whether it's in dating, social gatherings, or as a career, you need to look a certain way. And while it is true that more attractive people do tend to have what many call pretty privilege, where they essentially get treated better, they're seen as more credible, healthier, or even more competent because of their looks, but kids and young people who are already insecure about their looks tend to overemphasize them so much that they eventually start delving into slopes like what these guys have, where they're looking for every and any way to enhance their looks. And these guys are exploiting that audience. Now, while Hamza was a straight up liar, this clavicular guy is a lot more straight up. He says directly that he is on TRT, that he does surgery, injections, and whatever else to enhance his face. But he also preaches the idea that if you don't fit his arbitrary idea of what good looking is, then you are a worse human being. And most of the hacks that he presents for his audience are either pseudoscience or straight up harmful, with potentially life-lasting effects like jaw surgery or taking random peptides with little to no research behind them.
What drugs do you take in a day?
I'm taking testosterone every single day, minoxidil, dutasteride, 7.5 milligrams of Accutane a day, crystal meth. I'm pretty much using meth for hollow cheeks.
And mind you, both of this guy's parents are, or were at least, bodybuilders. But he's still complaining about his own poor genetics and uses it as an excuse to take 300 milligrams weekly of testosterone at 14. And he supposedly took human growth hormone to get taller at age 15. And that's not even the worst part. Calling yourself a face rating expert at 19 years of age while taking self-prescribed steroids is wilder than the Liver King's recent Instagram reels. He's trying to teach and sell hormone manipulation with no education and selling courses with medical solutions as a teen. And he even says openly that he doesn't even care about the long-term implications or even side effects of what he's doing. If that's not evident of somebody with next-level body dysmorphia, then I don't know what is. Still, I think the worst part in all of this, not just these guys, but the entire industry and the looksmaxing community, is the psychological impact it has on people in that industry. They might eventually become so overly obsessed with their looks and how other people look that they view the world exclusively through that angle. They don't look at success from careers, accomplishments, or whatever else. They start looking at it from an aesthetics perspective only. But it's not just these people who are at fault either, because it always goes back to the algorithm. Like how you see one video about mewing or skincare and it drags you in. Suddenly, you get 10 videos about how to look better, and when you start delving deeper, you start seeing guys with absurd advice. You essentially get tricked into believing that you yourself might not be good looking at all, and that you have flaws that you need to fix. And some of you might think this sounds like a straw man argument, because who the hell would obsess that much over their own appearance? Well, definitely people who spend years delving into topics because they see these people as credible, or somebody who grew up in a household where obsessing over your own looks is normal, like this guy. And over time, you start gaslighting yourself into making it sound rational. Just like people with anxiety believe that their thoughts are rational until they have to explain them. I have talked a lot about the physique inflation we're seeing in the fitness industry right now, where strong physiques from 10 to 15 years ago are now seen as mediocre. And the very same thing seems to be happening within this very similar industry and community, that over time, things become more and more extreme until somebody does something insane. However, I want to finish off on one thing. I don't think the idea of wanting to improve your looks is at all bad inherently, right? There are benefits to taking care of your hair, your skin, your overall health. You might live longer, you feel better, your confidence might go up. I certainly know that training boosted mine, but it's more about the ideas that these influencers are selling. The lies. Just like with everything, an idea about self-improvement is always good until somebody starts lying to make money, whether it's fake naturals or even these looksmaxing coaches.
Ronaldo.
I'm gonna give Ronaldo a 6 out of 10.
The principles are always the same and the effects are also pretty similar. Just accept the way you are, control what you can without messing up your life in the process, and that's it. Always strive for improvement within reason, but also be content with what you have. But what do you guys think? Let me know what you think about the trend of looksmaxing and the whole community. Have you ever been part of it yourself, or are you currently focusing a lot on your looks? Then let me know down below in the comments. And hey, about 80% of you guys aren't subscribed. So if you want to support the channel, feel free to hit that subscribe button. It's free and you can always change your mind later on. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you all next time.